Discover the amazing transformation of the hidden, neglected girl who became a television icon. Emma was a shadow, a girl who slipped through the hallways of her school, unnoticed, like a flicker of a flame that never quite caught fire. Living in a cramped apartment outside Detroit, she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. Her mom, a once proud soldier, now battled the demons of her past. In the confines of their small home, the echoes of silence often drowned out the conversations that never happened. But amidst the chaos, Emma clung to dreams hidden deep in her heart. Dreams formed in the whispers of her daydreams, stories waiting to escape. One afternoon, a faded flyer at the local community center, an old brick building that witnessed the lives of their struggling neighborhood, announced a talent show. Emma felt a spark ignite within her. It was a chance, a glimmer of hope. Her mother, despite her heavy heart, saw it too, encouraging Emma to rise up, pushing her back toward the stage she never dared to imagine herself on. "You have a voice, Emma. Let it be heard," her mom had said, her words a balm against the haunting shadows surrounding them. Still, as hope flourished, so did doubt. At school, the air was thick with whispers and judgments. Emma often felt like a ghost as the popular kids consumed the spotlight, leaving her with only fading echoes of encouragement. Deep down, she yearned to embrace that stage, to own it, but a family crisis loomed. Her mother's well-being seemed to spiral, as if the walls of their life threatened to collapse around them. The darkness was a heavy fog, and Emma was starting to suffocate under its weight. Then came the whispers, the taunts of her classmates, the feeling of being invisible, and the red-hot shame that battered her self-esteem. What if no one cared? What if she failed? After all, to shine was to risk burning out. The thought twisted in her stomach, and for a moment, Emma contemplated backing out of the talent show entirely. The uncertainty crawled under her skin. But fate had other plans. One evening at the community center, she met Mia, another girl lost in the blend of anonymity. In a hushed corner, their stories spilled out. "I feel like no one sees me either," Mia admitted, her eyes mirroring Emma's pain. In that shared vulnerability, something shifted. Emma began to realize that her voice was not just hers to keep, could demand attention if she made the choice to fight for it. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the talent show loomed closer, Emma felt tethered to the stage that now loomed large in her mind, shrouded in both possibility and peril. The spotlight flickered in her dreams. What would happen when she finally took that step? The night arrived, and her heart thundered against her ribcage. She stepped in front of the audience, and the world around her blurred into a single breath, deep and quivering. With every line of her poetry, history slipped away. The audience fell silent, as if time had paused. Emma bared her soul, weaving through laughter and tears, stitched with the threads of her struggles and dreams. Their rapt attention warmed her, yet self-doubt clawed at her spirit. The applause that followed felt surreal. Had they truly seen her? As she left the stage, a potent question held her captive. Did she possess the strength to carry this newfound courage into a world still rife with uncertainty? The answer trembled. The journey had only just begun. As Emma stepped off the stage, her heart still racing, an electric rush coursed through her veins. The applause echoed in her ears, lifting her spirits, but it was mingled with an undercurrent of anxiety. She could still barely believe that she had just performed. What she didn't expect was the ripple effect it would create. Mia rushed over, her eyes sparkling with admiration. "You were incredible, Emma. I knew you could do it." Her enthusiasm was infectious. But amid Mia's joy, Emma felt the weight of all that hadn't changed. What if it was just a one-time thing? Emma admitted, vulnerability pouring from her. What if next time is worse? Mia frowned, shaking her head. "No way. "You've found your voice. You can't take that back now." The conviction in Mia's voice pulled Emma back up. Perhaps this was her moment to embrace, not just within the walls of the community center, but everywhere. Days turned into weeks, and the talent show quickly faded into memory. Yet, Emma's performance lit something inside her that wouldn't extinguish. Encouraged by her newfound bravery, she began writing more poetry about dreams, fears, and the struggles that painted her youth. The pages filled with words that had once banged around her mind but were now spilling onto the paper, liberating her soul at a tea home. Emma noticed little changes in her mom too. Maybe it was Emma's spark that had rekindled something in her mother, or maybe just the presence of hope in their small apartment. "I'm proud of you, Emma. You really touched people," her mother said one evening, a glimmer of warmth illuminating her eyes. It made Emma's heart swell, an acknowledgement she'd longed for. But as school resumed, the whispers returned. These were sharper, crueler. The students who had once remained silent were emboldened, gossiping about her talent show performance. Emma felt a wash of anxiety envelop her. What started as a spark began to feel like a spotlight once more, but this time it burned. Would she become the subject of ridicule rather than admiration? Mia reached out amid the chaos of those hallways. "Ignore them, Em. They're just scared of your light." Her words lingered, a tender reminder that real courage was not just bravery under stage lights, but also resilience in the face of adversity. With each passing day, Emma wrestled with her identity. She'd captured a piece of herself on that stage, but the aftermath felt different. And it was in one late-night moment, when she smoothed pages filled with her thoughts, that a revelation struck. What if she used this pain, the noise of doubt and judgment, as fuel for her art? The idea pushed her into action. Emma decided to start a blog, a safe space for her to share her poetry, experiences, and the complexities of adolescence that swirled in her mind. It felt like an extension of her performance, a way to connect with others battling similar struggles. Her heart fluttered with both excitement and fear as she clicked publish. What if nobody reads it? She muttered under her breath, but she immediately scolded herself. What if they do? The very next day, as she walked through the school halls, an unfamiliar sensation washed over her anticipation. Little did she know that her leap of faith on the blog would unravel a series of events that would challenge her resilience in ways she never expected. But all she could think about was the waiting. Would she find the strength inside to face the fallout? As the sun set on the horizon, she wondered whether her words could truly help others, just as Mia had promised. Was it courage or foolishness driving her? Emma didn't know yet, but one thing was certain: the next chapter of her life was unfolding, and she was ready to face whatever it held. Emma felt lighter as she entered the school building the next morning, a small smile playing on her lips. There was a sense of release in sharing her thoughts, and it felt like the weight of the world had shifted just a little. Maybe it was the simple act of putting her poetry into the universe. It was like she had stretched her wings for the first time, even if they were still a little tattered. As she approached her locker, she paused to look at papers fluttering in the breeze created by the old ventilation system. A few students were whispering nearby, and her stomach twisted. Would they say something about her blog? She took a deep breath, trying to shake off the growing pit of anxiety. Moments later, she was surprised to hear her name. "Hey, Emma." It was Aiden, a quiet classmate she hardly exchanged words with. He stepped forward, clutching his phone. "I read your blog post last night, the one about your performance. It was really moving." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "You did?" He nodded, a shy smile playing on his face. "Yeah. I thought it was brave. I could relate to it." Emma's heart soared, but she struggled to hide her surprise. Aiden had always seemed so distant. "Thanks, that means a lot." Others started to gather around, curious about the exchange. She felt a flush rise to her cheeks. "Emma, is it true you're writing a blog?" Mia appeared out of nowhere, eyes sparkling with excitement. With a mix of pride and uncertainty, Emma nodded. "I just started it. Can you send me the link? It sounds amazing. I want to read it." "Yeah, me too," came voices from the crowd. Emma's chest tightened, but this time it felt different. Encouragement was washing over her instead of judgment. As the day passed, more students initiated conversations, commending her courage, sharing their own stories of doubt, and inviting her into their lives with warmth she hadn't anticipated. It was liberating, intoxicating even. The shadows of ridicule began to flicker away, making space for something hopeful. By the time the final bell rang, Emma felt as if she were floating. The apprehension that had lingered like an unwelcome guest began to melt away. As she made her way to the parking lot, her phone buzzed. It was a comment from her blog. "Your words spoke to me. Thank you for being brave." Her heart surged. It was one thing to write for herself, but knowing others were listening made all the difference. Each message carved a path of confidence within her, a path she had never realized she could walk. But just as she relished this newfound connection, a shadow loomed over her. Jared, the school's notorious bully, leaned against a car with a smug grin. "So, Miss Poet, I hear you think you're all deep now? What's next? A book deal?" Laughter erupted from his friends, and Emma's heart dropped. But she took a step forward, a voice rising within her. "Actually, yeah, I'm working on it. Want to read it?" The laughter faltered, and for a moment, all eyes were on her. Emma felt the electric rush again, this time fortifying her. Instead of panic, she felt the fire of defiance surge through her veins. Jared scoffed, but there was something different in his tone. It trembled, as if contemplating her resilience. Emma turned away, her heart pounding, not from fear, but from the power of standing tall. This wasn't just about poetry anymore. It was about who she was becoming. A new chapter was writing itself before her eyes as she made her way home. She couldn't shake the thought of what Jared's words might mean. Would he actually take her seriously, or was she still just a target in his eyes? And the overwhelming question lingered, was she really ready to embrace this new version of herself? Or was the world going to push her back into the shadows? One thing was clear. Emma's story was just beginning, and she was determined to uncover every line of it. The next morning, Emma woke up erupting with energy she hadn't felt in a long time. Her heart raced not with anxiety, but excitement. She flipped her laptop open, eager to write. The cursor blinked back at her, waiting for words to spring to life. Something inside her felt electric, like her poetry finally had purpose. After school, she decided to visit the local coffee shop, a small place where local artists displayed their work. She plopped down at a table by the window, sunlight spilling over her like a warm hug. Emma opened her laptop and began tapping. Each keystroke felt like a release. She wrote about her fears, but also about the strength she discovered in herself. The words flowed, weaving potent imagery with raw emotion. When she finally looked up, hours had vanished in the stroke of a pen. "Hey, Emma. Love the new hair." Mia's cheerful voice snapped her back to reality. "You actually noticed?" Emma grinned. "Of course. It's stunning. But I came to tell you something." Mia took a seat across from her, excitement radiating from her. "You won't believe this. Because of your blog, they're holding open mic night next week. Everyone's talking about it." The thrill bubbled inside Emma. "An open mic? That's amazing." "Yes. And you should perform." Emma's heart dropped. The thought of standing in front of a crowd made her palms sweat. "What if I mess up? What if they don't like it?" Mia touched her hand, her eyes serious. "No one is worried about perfection. They just want to hear your voice. You've already inspired people. Imagine if you shared your poetry live." An image flashed through Emma's mind, her standing on stage, sharing her heart with strangers. Could she? As the week passed, the excitement mixed with a healthy dose of panic. She practiced in front of her mirror, reading aloud until her voice became familiar. Words spilled out like warm honey, sweet and rich, but she couldn't shake the creeping fear that gnawed at her. One day after school, she caught Aiden in the hallway. "Hey, Emma." "Hi. I was actually thinking of performing at the open mic night," she mumbled, her voice shaky. He looked surprised, but then grinned. "That's awesome. You'll totally crush it. I read your latest post and it was powerful. You can do this." Something in his tone lifted her spirit. Maybe she could. But in the back of her mind, doubt lingered like an unwelcome shadow. Jared's snide comments still echoed in her head. What if he showed up? What if he ridiculed her in front of everyone? The day of the open mic arrived, and nerves tangled her stomach. The coffee shop buzzed with anticipation, filled with students, some with familiar faces, others were strangers. All of them had come because of her words. Emma stood behind the curtain, heart thumping loudly. The host announced her name, and for a brief moment, silence fell. With each step toward the stage, every ounce of anxiety heightening, Emma fought the urge to run. She took her place at the microphone, the crowd in front of her dim and blurry. "This is it," she whispered to herself. "Just be you." Then, as she opened her mouth to speak, a voice echoed out from the back. "What a joke!" It was Jared. Gasps rippled through the crowd, but Emma pressed on, heart pounding louder than ever. As she began to read her poem, words poured out with a fierce determination. For the first time, Emma experienced the raw power of her own voice, unshackled by doubt. But as the tension mounted, another question crept in. What if her words weren't just for the audience, but for herself too? Would they catch her? Would she fly? The moment weighed heavily on her, but she breathed deeply, ready to discover not just her poetry, but the depths of her own courage. As her words began to swirl through the air, Emma felt a rush of bravery coursing through her veins. With every line, she poured pieces of herself onto the stage, revealing worries and dreams that had long been buried. The world melted away as her voice wove a tapestry of experience and resilience, connecting her to the crowd in a way she had never imagined possible. She glanced briefly at the faces before her. Some were nodding, while others looked utterly engrossed. Emma could even spot Mia, eyes shining with pride, mouthing encouragement. But Jared's sneering expression lingered in her periphery, a dark cloud overshadowing her moment. "And I'm learning to embrace my messiness," she continued, the rhythm of her words picking up speed. "It's not a flaw, but the marks of living." The laughter and tears she had bottled up began to unfurl in the open air. With each stanza, her spirit felt lighter, and the harsh whispers of doubt dimmed behind her. Standing on that small stage, surrounded by voices that grew supportive, she didn't just read her poetry, she lived it as she reached the climax of the poem. A breathtaking moment of vulnerability cascaded through her. She wasn't just sharing her struggles. She was offering her heart. A deep breath escaped her lungs as she finished, standing in a sea of palpable silence before the crowd erupted into applause. It rang like thunder washing over her in waves. Emma stepped back, a softness blooming in her chest. She was almost afraid to look, but her urge to face the crowd was stronger. Smoothing her hair back, she finally met the gazes of her classmates. Their faces elicited a mix of admiration and connection, hearts worn openly like badges of honor. In that instant, Emma owned her space, her story. Yet, as she slowly backed away from the mic, Jared's voice cut through the applause, sharp and venomous. "Nice try, Emma. You think you're some kind of poet now?" The taunts lingered, seeped into the warm atmosphere like a cold chill, startling a few attendees into silence. But Emma felt it ripple off her back. Yes, it hurt, but equally, she had just laid bare her soul to the world. She had flown for the first time, the fear that once bound her now feeling more like a ghost, fading with each acknowledgement from the crowd. Mia dashed beside her, beaming. "You did it. You were incredible." But just as Emma started to bask in the moment, a flash of doubt returned. Had she truly impressed anyone beyond this instant? The thrill of the applause felt like a fleeting high. What if it was just a one-time thing? "Do you think they really liked it?" Emma asked, her voice small, a crack in her armor. Mia raised her brows incredulously. "Emma, it was amazing. I don't think I've ever seen you shine like that." And then, in a flurry of emotions, the tears began to fall. Emma fought them back, but they spilled over unbidden. She looked at Mia, her friend, grateful but caught in a confusing web of vulnerability and strength. What if Jared's right? What if it was just a fluke? Before Mia could respond, Aiden approached, his blue eyes warm with sincerity. "Emma, you have a gift. It's not just for one night, it's who you are. Seriously, that performance? Connected with everyone." I was moved. As he spoke, their gazes locked, and for a moment, the world around her faded. In that moment, she felt something settle deeper within her, a new sense of purpose. Yet, the lingering shadow of doubt remained, coiling around her like a familiar but unwelcome friend. When the night wound down, Emma stepped outside, the night air cool against her flushed cheeks. Mia and Aiden flanked her as they left the coffee shop, excitement buzzing in the air. But beneath it all, Emma felt a low hum of uncertainty. What came next? Could she do it again? Little did she know, the real challenge was just beginning. The whispers of doubt would return, darker, louder, and more insistent. And when they did, would she have the strength to confront not just them, but the truth she had unearthed on stage? With that thought heavy on her heart, Emma gazed up at the stars, wondering what stories they too would hold. Would she dare to reach for them, or let the shadow of doubt pull her back? The next morning, Emma woke to a dull ache in her chest. She rolled over, her gaze landing on the dawn spilling through her window. The soft light felt foreign against her skin, a gentle reminder of yesterday's bravery. Yet, the warmth was tainted with that lingering unease. The echoes of Jared's words and her own doubts played on a loop in her mind. After a quick breakfast, she grabbed her notebook and headed to her favorite park. The grass, still damp with morning dew, cradled her feet as she wandered to the worn-out bench by the fountain. It was a familiar spot, the sound of water cascading offering a soothing backdrop. She settled in, the smell of fresh grass filling her lungs, and opened her notebook to a blank page. But it was blank just like her mind. What came next? That question nagged at her as she stared at the unforgiving whiteness of the paper. The words that had flowed so effortlessly last night seemed to mock her now. A group of kids ran past, laughter bubbling up like the fountain's spray. She watched them play, their joy contagious. She thought of Mia's encouraging voice, Aiden's proud smile. They saw her potential. But could she see it herself? As if in response, a whisper of remembrance fluttered through her mind, the exhilaration of sharing her truths, the triumph of standing tall. She let out a deep breath, feeling the weight of the world lift slightly. It wasn't about impressing others. It was about her voice, her journey. Suddenly, her phone buzzed, jolting her from her ruminations. It was Mia, her cheerful text lighting up the screen. "So proud of you. Let us celebrate today. Lunch? My treat." Emma felt a smile break through. It was just what she needed. A sense of normalcy in the midst of uncertainty. With quick fingers, she replied, "Yes, can't wait." After their lunch at the small diner, they crossed the street to a local art supply store. Brightly colored paints, canvases, and sketchbooks crowded the shelves. Amongst it all, one notebook caught Emma's eye, leather-bound with a worn brass clasp. Felt sturdy, just like how she wanted to feel. On impulse, she grabbed it and clutched it tightly against her chest. Later, seated at Mia's kitchen table, they shared endless laughter and slices of pie, while Emma felt something shift within her. She opened her new notebook and began to write, pouring out feelings, sketches of hopes, apprehensions, even some wild dreams that had been buried deep down, the weight of them lightening with every line she filled. "Look at you. That's a whole poem waiting to happen." Mia pointed, eyes gleaming with excitement. The words on the page seemed to shimmer with possibility. Just as Emma started to feel the thrill of creation rise inside her again, the door swung open. Aiden entered with a wide grin, an envelope in his hand. "You won't believe this." Emma raised an eyebrow, curiosity bubbling. "What is it?" "A local talent show is happening next month. The sign-ups just opened. I think you should do it." Emma's heart raced at the thought, but the weight of fear pulled her down just as quickly. "Me? In front of more people? What if it's just another fluke?" "Emma," Aiden said, his voice steady, "do you believe in yourself? Because I do. You can't let what Jared said be the definition of your story." His words hovered in the air, and Emma felt the warmth of belief swell within her. battling against the uncertainty. But before she could respond, Mia chimed in, "And think of all the love you'd get, all the people you'd reach with your art." Doubt flickered in her mind, but it was also tinged with excitement. This was more than just a performance. It was a chance to step back into the light. As Aiden handed her the envelope, her fingers trembled. Could she dare to leap again? Could she embrace the possibility of transformation, of becoming more than simply Emma, the girl lost to doubt? With a heart full of questions and a flicker of hope, she looked from Mia to Aiden. "What if I try?" As they exchanged smiles, the shadows of fear lingered just out of reach. But deep down, in that moment, she felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. Would this be the moment she finally stepped out of the shadow? Or had she just opened another door that could lead her deeper into the unknown? Emma sat at the kitchen table, the envelope heavy in her hands. A mixture of excitement and terror swirled within her, each breath feeling like a step closer to a cliff's edge. The thought of performing in front of a crowd pulsed through her mind, igniting both fear and adrenaline. Could this really be the moment she'd been waiting for? "What do you think?" Mia asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "You could share your poetry, maybe even your sketches. It's your chance to shine." Emma glanced at Aiden, who nodded encouragingly. "It's not just about the talent show," he said, leaning forward. "It's about embracing who you are. This could really change your life." His words struck a chord, but insecurities yanked at her heart. "What if they don't like me? What if I mess up?" Mia reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "This isn't about them. It's about you. You have something special to share." Emma hesitated, her thoughts a tangle of what-ifs. The encouragement from her friends felt like a lifeline, yet the shadows of doubt loomed large. Then something clicked. She thought about the moments in her life that had brought her joy, those bare, honest stories where vulnerability soared and connections blossomed. What if this is the path I've been waiting for? The realization dawned, unraveling a spark of courage within her as the warmth of possibility washed over. "Exactly," Aiden exclaimed, jumping on her enthusiasm. "And the sign-up is just a few blocks away." With newfound determination, Emma glanced at the envelope, the challenge staring back. "Okay," she said, her voice steadier than before. "I'll do it. I want to try." Mia's face lit up with a smile, and Aiden clapped his hands. "That's the spirit." After finishing their pie, they gathered their things and set out. The air was crisp, and an electric energy buzzed around them. Emma sensed a shift within. The flutter of hope fortified her resolve. Each step felt empowering, the rhythm of her heartbeat matching her stride as they approached the community center. As they entered, the walls echoed with laughter and chatter. Nervous butterflies danced in her stomach, but she focused on the faces around her. There was a mixture of excitement and shyness among others waiting in line. Emma spotted a few familiar faces, some from her school, others from the neighborhood, and felt a strange camaraderie. "Mia, can you hold my notebook?" she asked as they finally reached the sign-up table. Her fingers trembled with anticipation. "Sure. Just take a deep breath," Mia replied, giving her a reassuring smile while balancing the notebook with ease. Emma took a deep breath in and out, grounding herself. "Remember why I'm here," she whispered, just loud enough for her friends to hear. Finally, it was her turn. The attendant smiled encouragingly. "What will you be performing?" Emma's mouth felt dry. "Poetry and maybe a piece of art?" "Sounds great. Your name?" "Emma Williams," she replied, her voice wavering but firm. With a swift motion, the attendant noted her down. As Emma signed her name on the dotted line, a thunderclap of exhilaration intertwined with anxiety rang through her. This was it. She had chosen to step into a new light, the beginning of something different. With the finality of the signature, a wave of calm washed over her. "I did it. I really did it," she exclaimed, as if just realizing the heft of what she decommitted to. But just as she turned to leave, her heart sank at the sight of Jared across the lobby, laughing with a group of friends. His familiar smirk sent a cold wave of doubt crashing over her. Could she really face him? Emma's heart raced. What would he think? Could she still find strength amid that storm? "Mia, Aiden," she started, but the words caught in her throat. Would this moment become a turning point, or would it drown her in the shadows of her past? As she stood frozen, the air thick with uncertainty, she knew one thing. This was only the start. The transformation she craved was waiting just beyond the fear. But would she cling to her strength or get pulled back into that old darkness? Emma took a deep breath, feeling the weight of possibilities settle in her heart. The answer lay just a heartbeat away. Emma felt time stop as her gaze locked onto Jared. That arrogant smile haunted her thoughts, the very smile that had made high school feel like a battlefield. The laughter of his friends surrounded her, striking a discordant note against the backdrop of her hope. An invisible chain pulled tight around her heart, weighing down her resolve. Mia, Aiden, she whispered again, panic rising like bile in her throat. What if he laughs? What if I fail? Mia leaned closer, her voice soothing but firm. No one is here to tear you down. This is your moment to rise. The sincerity in her friend's eyes acted like a lifeline. Emma closed her eyes briefly, letting the noise of the crowd blur into the background. She remembered the times she had pulled away from the spotlight, had hidden her sketches and poems out of fear. No more hiding, she murmured, almost to herself. She opened her eyes, determination igniting her spirit. Aiden, noticing her shift, gave her an encouraging nod. You've got this. Let us show them what you can do. Emma's heart began to beat less erratically as she steeled herself. She took a step forward, leaving the safety of her friends. Every step felt like a declaration. She was not just Emma the shy girl anymore. She was Emma the artist, the poet, and soon she would be Emma the performer. As she moved further into the lobby, she focused on the people who were jumping with excitement or nervously fidgeting like her. They were all in this together, each person grappling with their own fear and dreams. Jared may have been part of her past, but he did not define her future. Emma glanced back at Mia and Aiden, who stood watching her with unwavering support. She felt strength in their presence, bolstering her confidence. Then, steeling her shoulders, she turned and strode toward the stage area. The warm-up was chaotic, filled with whispers, laughter, and the gentle sounds of strumming guitars. Emma settled in at the edge of the crowd, stealing glances at the other performers. A girl with a bright pink guitar sang with a voice that echoed with soul. An older gentleman recited a slamming piece that sent waves of laughter through the audience. Her heart raced with each act, nervous energy bubbling over. And yet, as she watched the crowd lean in, captivated, she felt the tantalizing tickle of inspiration. Longing to be seen, to be heard, coursed through her. Then, she did it. She turned and marched to where the sign-up sheet was placed. It was her turn soon, and she wouldn't let fear hold her back. She found herself wishing she could delete all the memories associated with self-doubt and petty judgments. No more lingering in the shadows. Suddenly, her phone buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a message from Mia. You're amazing. Remember to breathe, we're right here. Just be yourself. The warmth of her friend's support flooded through her. With a firm grip on her notebook, she whispered, just be yourself. Just be yourself. Emma stepped into the spotlight, the stage lights bright but welcoming. The crowd's eyes turned to her, and for a brief moment, she felt like a spark of connection had been created. There was no going back now. She had to embrace this moment. But then, she saw Jared leaning against the back wall, his gaze fixed fiercely on her. Did he see her? Did he know how vulnerable she felt? As her heart raced again, she stood at the precipice, ready to leap. What would she say? Would her voice tremble, or would it soar? In that heartbeat, she realized something powerful. It didn't even matter. This was not just about him. It was about her journey, her growth. Could she finally embrace her own light? With one deep breath, she opened her mouth, ready to share her soul with the world, but would she find the courage to let it all out? Or would his presence destabilize everything? Emma stood frozen for a split second. The glaring lights washed over her, blinding in their intensity, but they also felt somehow warming. She could feel the weight of 100 eyes on her, their collective anticipation as palpable as the thrum of her racing heart. "Focus," she whispered to herself, looking down at her notebook, the pages already slightly crumpled from her nervous grip. She could feel the corners of the paper rough against her fingertips. The words she planned to speak, the art she longed to share, everything felt true and yet terrifying. Then, she shut her eyes for just a moment, allowing the hum of the crowd to dim slightly. In her mind's eye, she saw her sketchbook. The countless hours spent hidden away, the colors splashed messily across the pages, her imagination spilling freely onto paper. Those pages were her sanctuary, the one place where she felt safe to express who she really was. Opening her eyes, she steadied herself and took a deep breath. "This is for me," she thought fiercely. For the girl who almost gave up. The moment hung in the air like a fragile glass ornament, sparkling and delicate. With a strong voice that startled even herself, she spoke. "Hi, everyone. I'm Emma." The words came out tremulous but free. A ripple of acknowledgement stirred through the audience, a few nods and smiles encouraging her further. With each sentence, she began to weave a story not just of herself, but of the struggles every unseen artist faces. Her voice grew stronger, filling the space with her truth. "I used to hide my art. I thought no one would care about it. I was afraid of judgment, afraid of failing. But today I chose to step into the light." As she shared her journey, she recalled the moments that had stung the most, the boyish laughter that once cut her down, the nights spent crying over abandoned sketches, the anxiety that had made her feel like she was drowning. But she also spoke of triumph, of the first time she received a compliment, of every phone call with Mia breathing life into her dreams, of the feeling of a brush moving across canvas. She could not avoid Jared's gaze. It was intense and searching, and with every moment she spoke, she felt herself breaking the chains of his past influence. She wasn't seeking his validation anymore. "I found out that it's about loving myself, about finding my voice," she continued. Her heart swelled as she glanced at Mia and Aiden, their faces radiant with pride. She was no longer just sharing. She was connecting. The vulnerability she had feared transformed into a powerful bridge, connecting her with the audience. Slowly, she began to wrap up, her words flowing like an ink trail on paper. "So I stand here today, not to impress anyone but to be true to myself. That's the greatest leap I could ever take. And I hope you'll join me in your own journeys, wherever they may lead." As she stepped back from the microphone, a roar of applause engulfed her. She opened her eyes wide, disbelief washing over her. They were clapping for her. Really for her. There was Jared still watching. For the first time, she saw something different in his eyes. Curiosity. Was he surprised? Perhaps even impressed? But that didn't matter now. The applause was her only focus, the cheers only for her. Yet, just as she began to bask in the warmth of acceptance, her phone buzzed again. It was Mia. "You were amazing. Now let us celebrate." Suddenly, a tall figure emerged from the crowd. Jared. He was walking straight towards her, and time felt like it paused again. Why was he coming? Did he want to talk? Was he going to confront her about what he had seen? Emma's breath caught in her throat. She could feel the room's energy shift in anticipation. What would he say? Would this moment come crumbling down? Or could something new be forged from the ashes of their past? As Jared approached, uncertainty bubbled within her. Would he lash out as he always had? Would his words cut like shards of glass? Emma braced herself, the applause still ringing in her ears, energy coursing through her veins. "Emma," he said, his tone unexpectedly calm. "That was really something." The crowd hushed, disbelief flaring in Emma's chest. Was this the same boy who had taunted her so mercilessly? "Thanks," she replied cautiously, her voice barely a whisper. "I didn't know you had it in you." A hint of admiration danced in his eyes, almost challenging her to respond back. She met his gaze, heart thumping loudly against her ribcage. "Maybe you just never bothered to look," she breathed, a newfound confidence edging into her tone. His surprise was palpable. "Maybe I was wrong," Jared began, then hesitated, searching the crowd's energy before meeting her eyes again. I've been a jerk, Emma. I see that now. Emma wanted to scoff, to roll her eyes at his admission, but something held her back. It was as if, in that moment, their exchanges had become the stepping stones for her own growth. She realized that for so long, she had let his words define her, but now she had the power to rewrite her own story. Yeah, it's a process for all of us, she finally said, feeling light, free from his shadow. A cheer erupted from the audience, their unity binding them together in collective joy and unexpected camaraderie. Emma glanced around. Mia was grinning wide, Aiden nodding enthusiastically, their faces beaming with pride in the aftermath of her bravery. In the swell of it all, she felt unshakable. Guess we all just need our moments, Jared said, the earlier smugness replaced by something genuine. In that brief exchange she felt a weight lift. She waved him off, ready to turn back to her friends. We do. Just never forget. Every time you mock someone, you may be pushing their light back. Or maybe even dimming their spark entirely. And I guess I owe you one for that. Maybe just own up to the next kid you try to bully. He nodded, a genuine smile curving his lips, blazing with an acknowledgement that he wouldn't carry that shadow anymore. As Jared turned to walk away, Emma felt that heavy burden of the past slip from her shoulders. It was one small confrontation, but it felt monumental. She had stepped into her light and had not only embraced her own voice but also empowered herself against the hurts of her past. With a grin lighting her face, Emma ran back to Mia and Aiden, who immediately engulfed her with warmth, laughter, and excitement. You were amazing, Mia exclaimed, while Aiden ruffled her hair, all exuberance. We knew you had it in you. Emma couldn't contain the giddiness rising within her, the voices of doubt now distant echoes. I can't believe I did it. I really performed. And look at you now, Mia added. You've inspired so many more kids. Talents of our own are finally getting air. As the crowd buzzed with chatter, the heat of each interaction registered within her, echoing the heartbeats of everyone who felt seen, heard, and inspired. Emma turned to gaze at the stage, feeling the weight of the past scatter away like autumn leaves. It was just the beginning. That night, Emma returned home to her small apartment, where the quiet still nestled within the walls. But this time something felt different. As she entered her room, she spotted her notebook lying open, its pages whispering of all the words she had to offer the world. With the glow of her desk lamp illuminating the space, she picked up the pen and began to write, thoughts surging forward like a rushing river. This was just the beginning. She was ready to forge a path that would intertwine her talent with her story. She would not merely chase recognition, but create it. With a heart brimming with hope and determination, Emma realized she was no longer just that quiet girl in the shadows. She had become a beacon, guiding herself and others forward. Outside, the stars twinkled brightly, welcoming new stories, new beginnings. And so, the journey continued, one brave step at a time, and Emma sat ready to share not only her voice but her heart with the world. If you ever wanted to witness someone overcoming their fears, this is a reminder that transformation is possible. Want to be part of more incredible journeys like Emma's? You need to subscribe now to the channel to follow upcoming stories that break barriers. This is the moment to show your support and help build a community where dreams take flight. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and ensure everyone gets to see these amazing transformations. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this. Together, let us spread the message of courage, creativity, and the power of finding your voice. Your support matters.